Well, there seems to be a growing trend and interest in cryptocurrency. But how do cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum fit into the concept of money? Well, joining us now to unpack that is Bianca Botes from Peregrine Treasury Solutions. Bianca, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Siki.
Has there been great interest in cryptocurrencies in South Africa? What sort of uptake?
Absolutely. I think in any asset, when there is massive spikes in the price, people do tend to take an interest. I think whether it is Bitcoin or whether it is actually the technology side of it remains to be seen what is actually going to last in the future.
Well, it is an instrument, it's an investment instrument, so obviously there are risk factors to consider.
I would be very careful to brand it as an investment instrument. Most of the asset houses has denounced it as an investment instrument, deeming it as purely a means of exchange. When you start looking at investing funds into any instrument, whether it is a means of exchange or whether you deem it to be an investment instrument, you need to take certain precautions if there is volatility within that instrument to make sure that your risk is covered.
And as you say, many people have said, look at it as money, the way that we use traditional money, that you can use it to purchase something or to invest possibly in something else. But as you said, there's been this volatility in the price, so that's why many people have looked at it as an investment vehicle, a way to actually get a return. So if they are looking at it that way, are there ways to hedge against some of the risk on the volatility side?
Absolutely. So first of all, to define cryptocurrency, you need to look at what is the purpose of cryptocurrency. I think branding it as a long-term investment would be pitiful, to say the least. But it's definitely, there are short-term profits to be made if you're able to get in and out of a position quite rapidly.
Okay. In
the long term, due to volatility, it could pose certain risks and exponentially increase your risk profile in your investment. By definition, looking at it as a means of exchange certainly adds a certain benefit to it.
Yeah.
But we also deem e-bucks to be a means of exchange.
Yes.
But we don't go add the same value to e-bucks that we've added to Bitcoin.
Why do you think that is?
I think the driving price, the underlying element that people don't really understand what it is, where it comes from, what the definition is, and that it's not completely regulated. I think people like the animosity of it. They deem it to avoid exchange control tax regulation, which it does not.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit about that. I mean, is there a greater move globally for more regulation? I know our Reserve Bank has said that it's looking into this. But right now, if something happens, you aren't protected, right?
You are definitely not protected. We've seen China come to the market saying they've completely banned the use of cryptocurrencies and all the exchanges. One of the biggest banks in the world, JP Chase, its CEO denounced the trading of cryptocurrency merely because of the risk that is attached to it. Recently, a directive from SARS has been issued saying that it is indeed taxable, and the Reserve Bank followed in saying that any person trading in Bitcoin or any entity accepting Bitcoin as payment does so at their own risk.
And looking at the South African landscape, are we seeing more and more merchants accepting Bitcoin as a means of exchange, if one should look at it purely as that thing?
Not really, no. I think it's in your smaller business space, entrepreneurial space, where they are looking at it.
Yeah.
There was an article last week about Pick n Pay accepting it, and now it's come to light that Pick n Pay indeed is not accepting Bitcoin. It is rather one of their canteens in one of their branches that accepts Bitcoin. So I think there's been a lot of miscommunication in the market, and people are putting out there what they want the media to believe and what they want the underlying investors to believe. There's definitely profits to be made, but you need to ensure that you can get out of it quite quickly.
So how do people get reliable information about the value of their Bitcoin, where they can and cannot use it, and so on?
I think the biggest problem is that what is the value of Bitcoin? How do you go and value this instrument? There is no underlying intrinsic value. It's not connected to any company that has a balance sheet. So it's very hard to determine the underlying value of Bitcoin. And then when it comes to the accurate media, I think it's very important for every single person who looks at investing in Bitcoin to go and find information, read up on it as much as you can, make sure that you educate yourself in Bitcoin, all other cryptocurrencies, and also the hedging strategies that you can follow to protect yourself against potential losses.
Well, one reads, for example, the IMF saying recently as well that cryptocurrency is here. We need to find a way to deal with it. Do you see it becoming an entrenched part of our world in future as it evolves and develops?
I think virtual currency has already played a role in our economies as such. I mean, in South Africa, we have Zappa, we have SnapScan. Yeah. So we have moved away from the physical use of cash. But attaching a value that is so excessive to a cryptocurrency without actually having an underlying value to it becomes very dangerous. As a means of exchange, it serves brilliantly. It's easy to conduct your business. There is no underlying reporting taking place, and you can remain anonymous. But in that, it also opens up risk because you have absolutely no idea who you are dealing with.